Welcome back. Our next speaker, Mr. Alex Mashinsky, founder and CEO of Celsius Network, speaking on today's topic, All Roads Lead to Decentralization. Over to you, Mr. Alex.
Hi, thanks for having me. I've recently done a presentation with Chainlink, our partner. All roads lead to decentralization. This focuses on really how the world is changing, world of finance, new set of rails. Kind of, for me, it's a very similar story. I worked on voice over IP back when the internet was created. So if you think of money over IP as what we're doing here with the blockchain, this is a very similar progression. So, you know, traditional finance or TradFi has been basically the same since the Medici's, 700 years of banking or finance, really kind of resulting in the same thing, which is that all the cream is going to the top. The 1% basically gets to retain all of the earnings, all the value created. And if you look at CeFi or DeFi, decentralized finance, really it's a new opportunity, equal opportunity, a circle in which everybody can participate in an equal way. It resets the whole foundation of traditional finance. So as we know, the world is full of money. Everybody's printing as fast as they can. Part of it obviously is because of COVID and Corona, but as we know, obviously there is hundreds of trillions of dollars of debt circulating, which really is the reason why central banks have to create debasement and inflation. Those are the two tools they use to kind of manage that. More than 70% of all the money ever created was created since 2008. So if you look at the speed at which we're adding money to circulation, you know, M1, you will see that basically it's a collision. We're on a collision course with the dollar and with the dollar as the reserve currency of the planet. If you look at the last 2,000 years, you'll see that every empire that ever existed effectively collapsed over time when it started debasing its currency, when it either reduced the amount of copper or silver in its coins, or created notes that had nothing to do with the actual productivity or GDP that the country was created. And I think, again, we're at the end of this dollar world cycle. Dollar as the reserve currency of the planet, dollar as a weaponized currency managed by the West to kind of control the world. All that is creating an opportunity for a new platform. And the question is it going to be Bitcoin or CBDC or some corporate version, or it's going to be something different that we haven't thought about, right? So again, it looks like we're all rich, $255 trillion worth of assets. But if you look at our debts, we have actually more in debt than in equity. And this debt has been accumulating for the last basically 70 years since we went off the gold standard worldwide and basically created fiat money. You know, the dollar went off the gold standard on a temporary basis 50 years ago. And since then, we've been basically digging a hole for ourselves. In many countries, you see central banks basically solving the problem by creating mergers between the weak banks and the strong banks. This is the United States, and it shows you as we consolidated, the top 5 banks in the United States control over 60% of all deposits. You can see in the gray in the background that we've paid less and less interest to the users, right? Same thing, since we went off the gold standard, you can see that unless you were in finance or in tech, you basically did not make or did not participate in any of the value creation in the economy. So the opportunity with digital assets is, again, that they're not tied into these rules. They're not shackled by all of the kind of history and the infrastructure that has been built with traditional finance. And we can create new rules and new systems that hopefully act in the best interest of the 7.8 billion people that live on this planet, and not on the 0.1% that actually runs finance, right? So money over IP is really an opportunity for us to reinvent finance, and these are all the different categories that are kind of participating or trying to do this. So this is a funny picture of me and my wife. We invented effectively yield on the blockchain. And if you want to learn more about it, what is DeFi or decentralized finance? Again, Celsius, my company, Celsius.network, the website, we've been basically paying yield on the blockchain since 2017. That's longer than anybody else. And you have to think about it again as you have two basically forms of infrastructure. One is called CeFi, centralized finance, or DeFi, decentralized finance. And the consumer really has to, based on the skill set, can either jump to one or the other, or basically layer their assets into one or the other to create yield, to get cheap loans, and do things that they cannot do with traditional banking, right? No bank in the world or central bank is going to pay you 6 or 8 or 10%. But Celsius has been doing that now for 4 years. We have over 20 billion in assets, and we've paid over $760 million to almost 1 million customers. So we work with different companies. This is an example of our project with Chainlink, where we effectively can help users create yield not just on one blockchain, but go cross blockchain. And we work together to create this cross-chain interoperability protocol that allows us to operate on 16 different blockchains, that more than any other company in the world. And we can extract or create yield not just on Bitcoin or Ethereum, but on other chains as well, depending on where the opportunity is. So what's so special about the blockchain, right? After all, it's pretty slow. It's very inefficient, consumes a lot of electricity, and it's only good for one thing, right? Just like a tank. But when you think for yourself why there's so much excitement about it, why so many people are talking about this, it's really because it represents a first time that we can basically detach or decouple money from government and money from politics, and create a global currency for the internet, right? And the internet is now, again, almost 50 years old since it was kind of invented, 30 years since it went commercial. And we still don't have money on the internet, right? So this is really what the opportunity here is. Now, we had 3 waves of adoption. In the beginning, you just had infrastructure, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dash. These are all blockchains, different versions of blockchains. Then we had middleware, and now really the big applications, just like on the Web 2.0, are dApps, or distributed apps. These are apps that effectively give you very unique functionality. You don't even know that you're running on the blockchain. Like with Celsius, you just earn yield, right? You put your assets, you can put your dollars or Bitcoin or Ethereum, and every Monday you get interest. You get paid for the fact that your assets are being used to create yield or create value. We've seen, again, adoption, massive adoption by different vertical over time. As you can see, we went from just retail adopting crypto to institutions and investment banks and so on. And really, the adoption is definitely accelerating. It's now actually moving faster than the internet was in 1997 or 98. And so we're seeing this massive acceleration into crypto. And really, this is all about your comfort zone, right? How do you leap from, okay, a dollar-denominated economy into something beyond gold? For example, in this case, stable coins or Bitcoin, right? Those are all areas that for many people are dangerous, or things that they're struggling with from a conceptual standpoint. But the future is here, and to enjoy the future or benefit from the future, you have to leave the past behind. So that, like if you take the last 12 years of crypto, that we had 3 waves of adoption. Satoshi invents this thing called Bitcoin, solves the double spend problem, and effectively we have cypherpunks and anarchists take it and try to figure out what to do with it. Then we had the libertarians, right? We all these waves of adoption brought in millions of people into crypto. Then you had speculators, and now we're having institutions. Finally, we have an institutional adoption. So these are all, again, each time we hand off the baton, sometimes we drop the baton, the Bitcoin goes down 50 to 60% because we change the cohort of people that are adding or being added into this industry, and many people leave. The tourists go back to fiat land from crypto land, and that's how this works. So Web 3.0, the blockchain, is definitely a huge move. We only seen, again, 2 other moves like this in the last 50 years. And so you really have to take it very seriously and dig into it and understand what's happening. Now, there's over 10,000 different tokens and coins. So it's not that easy to find winners. It's not that easy to figure out, okay, which of these projects is real, which one is just hype, what is here to solve a real problem, and what is here just as a temporary idea. As an example, Ethereum, I depict why Ethereum is such a successful project. So when you think about E equals MC squared, that represents really the value here. And it's all about this membership adoption and the credit or the amount of capital that is deployed on Ethereum, which is now in the hundreds of billions of dollars, which obviously gives Ethereum a huge advantage versus many other coins. But you can think of crypto as a Pac-Man that is just eating all the asset classes. It's eating gold, it's eating the dollar, and it will obviously start eating many, many other asset classes with NFTs and other type of asset representing physical real estate or art or all kind of other things in the real world. And we're seeing that already. So one other way to look at it is since Satoshi basically invented crypto or Bitcoin, what are the steps we had? So obviously we had a step with Bitcoin itself, then we had Ethereum, and now we're testing NFTs, security tokens, and stable coins, right? These are kind of like the 3 leading implementations that are helping us to get to mass adoption. And again, if you think about the banking model, it's a very unfair model. You, the depositor, get less than 1%, but your bank takes your money, lends it to your neighbor, and charges them 24% on their credit card, right? So who gets to keep all of that value created, right? So the bank creates 24% and keeps 23% or 95% of the value to themselves. And we think there's a much more elegant solution. Again, the user gets 7%, the borrower pays 9%, and the user, the creator of the value, gets to keep 80% of the value. Instead of giving away 95%, you get to keep 80%. So these are some of the rates that Celsius pays today. Again, we support 42 different digital currencies. We only support digital currencies. We have over 20 billion. We announced to date over 20 billion in assets under management. And it's as simple as downloading your app or going to our website, registering, and putting your money to work. You don't have to trade. You don't have to move it around. You don't have to look at it. Every Monday, you get paid a yield or interest right into your account, and you can withdraw at any time. There's no lockup. And again, you can move that money back to your regular bank account and earn up to 100 times more than your bank pays you. Again, this is not because we're so good. It's just because most banks pay you so little that it's easy for us to look so good. So Celsius has a unique flywheel, right, that creates all of this value. And again, you can dig into it or look into it on our site. Also, we have a lot of content on YouTube. If you want to watch some videos, Celsius Network, you'll be able to understand what this is all about. Forbes ranked us as one of the top blockchains worldwide. And we've been, last year, a Celsius token was the fastest growing or the best performing token in the world. So ranked #1 among over 10,000 different tokens and coins And I'll try to finish by just giving you a few quotes here to summarize kind of what we just talked about. So normal traditional exchanges or crypto exchanges socialize losses, banks socialize losses, where crypto or Celsius is socializing profits, right? We effectively create a pool of capital and allow that pool to earn yield on a consistent basis. Decentralization is a war between toll collectors and users, right? The traditional toll collectors, the banks, the financial institutions, don't want to let it go, but decentralization is forcing these institutions to change their ways. And if you want to bring, again, free hundreds of millions of people to do this, you need less volatility and more utility. And that's what crypto brings. It brings a new type of utility to the financial world. Bitcoin is doomsday insurance policy, and stable coins or Ethereum are everyday interest, right? Something that kind of is very, very difficult to get these days. Crypto is here to replace the middleman with middleware, right? So if you want to, this is probably one of the best quotes out there. And if Bitcoin replaces gold, Ethereum replaces the banks. Living with banks is like living in a bad marriage, right? You have a partnership in which one side gets a lot and the other side doesn't get anything. So I'll just skip a few because we're running out of time. And don't ask what the bank or government can do for you. Ask what CeFi or DeFi can do for you. And here we go. This is a part of our team. We now have over 500 people. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Alex. One of the questions asked is, are you planning to open an office in the Middle East soon?
So we have a lot of customers in the Middle East already. We don't have an office, but we're always looking to hire. So if you are thinking of joining a company like Celsius, please email us at jobs@celsius.network or hr@celsius.network, or look at our job posting. We have over 100 job openings, and happy to add you to the team, but we don't have a physical office
at the moment. So it looks pretty bright for the future then, what we are looking at compared to a bank versus digital currency, right?
Well, I think banks are not doing a very good job for their customers. They're doing a great job for the shareholders, but not a very good job for the customers. So I think, again, new institutions that are focused on the customers, like Amazon did or like other people did, are going to do very well. The same thing in finance, right? So it's just now that we have these new rails to be able to deliver these services that we couldn't do before. Celsius is a global company. We have 1 million customers worldwide, in almost in every country in the world. You couldn't do that with traditional finance.
We wish you and your company all the best, Alex, and hope to meet you in person in one of our events.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Alex. Attendees, if you'll have any questions for Alex, please do share it with me and I'll pass it on to Alex to answer it. All right, Alex, thank you very much.
Thanks.